All right, so I just finished up at the event that the Missoula Rise community put on over at Homeward, and it was cops. Who do they police? Who is punished, and what is protected? And a lot of great discussion, just like at a lot of these gatherings and community discussions. What I'm happy about is that there are more of these going on than I knew about. And I knew during the discussions that I've been a part of lately, I knew it would open up some doors to some other discussions. So I'm very happy that they were hosting this one, and I was happy I got to attend. I'm doing this in the car right now because everybody in the house is asleep, and I don't want to awake them, and I want to get this off of my mind while I could. So they had an interesting panel. I can't remember all of their names. I remember Meg because I've worked with her before, but yeah, so I just wanted to debrief with you all and just to share my emotions, my thoughts, and what I've learned. Because I feel this is part of my personal growth, and if I can help somebody else personally grow, then that's my number one. I can't say number one. That's one of my main missions, is to share this wild, crazy ride of life and community and support, and from what I call the solution to it all, and it's personal growth. So this is part of my journey, and I thank y'all for following along with this crazy nonsense, even watching this video. I'm already rambling. All right, I'll stop. So, it's one thing that stuck out to me was the data. Gosh, man, this one guy, I think he's a public defender. I think his name was like Peter or something like that. But, he was able to shed some light on some data, some statistics about who's basically about who's put in jail, who's targeted, and how those stats come about. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but it just really does go back to how data can be manipulated and twisted in order to return a result that favors your opinion. I'm just going to leave it at that. What data can you trust these days? When the data is flawed, how can you trust it? And I mean, it's just one more thing that I've realized, something that could be twisted and manipulated in order to support one perception or one ideology. Man, this was crazy. So this one dude said, how are you going to join the police force and enforce a law when the law is wrong? Like, you're deliberately making that choice to uphold some laws that are unjust, that are not right. And I was like, okay, because that first off, of course, it hit me. It was like, nah, that can't be right. But wow, that could be right. But of course, me being in my optimistic, mind frame, what about those people? What about those cops? What about those people who join the force and become a law enforcer? What if those are the people out there trying to change the law as well, and they're trying to infiltrate that from the inside to make it right and to make it more just and inclusive for us all? So I'm glad I shifted my mind back into the positive side of things. One gal shared a story about how, and this happened in how I grew up too, but she brought up the story about her brother was accused of being a vandal. And there was another kid who was similar to her brother. And she told the story about how the cops showed up 7 cars deep, banging on the door, getting ready to arrest her little brother. And come to find out, the witness or the neighborhood accuser who is saying that her little brother was the vandal ended up not being him, and it was the other neighbor's kid. And the whole community, basically, like all the neighbors around, saw what was going on, intervened, and explained how that boy was not the suspect and it was actually someone else. Like the community, the neighbors, 5 or 6 people showed up and was like, hey, this is wrong. This is not right. You've got the wrong kid. And that was the power of community. That stuck with me because it makes me, I challenge myself to make sure I stand up for those type of things and in those situations. Now, of course, I think I can hold my own, me being a larger person, I'm not afraid of confrontation. I would be more apt to step up in those situations, but that's me being aware and challenging myself to be a good neighbor, so to say, a good community member. And of course, that's just one of the ways that we can attribute to this growth that we're trying to have within our community, an improved, better community. The other thing was that popped out, we were talking about, my big thing was, all right, so if you don't like the law, then try to change it, become a lawmaker, infiltrate the system, so to say, get in and try to change the law. And the public defender actually, at the tail end of our discussion, he goes, well, the county attorney has a lot of influence over the police force and how they police the neighborhood, the community, so to say. And I'm like, man, I've been challenging myself. Another challenge I've been putting on myself, man, challenging yourself is not easy, for sure. And it takes energy and it takes effort, but I'm willing to do that so I could be the best person that I could be for my community and raise my kids the right way. But the county attorney leads the police, so to say, has a lot of influence over the police force and how they police the community. So if we're having a problem with how the police, then we need to elect people who are influencing our police officers, our force, the right way. That will be, of course, in line of how you would want your community to be policed. So the county attorney, that's another one that I've noted down for myself. When election day comes around, my job as a citizen and my challenge to myself is to do my homework, do my research on whoever's running for county attorney, because if those are the people who I have, or who has the impact over the police force, in which I supposedly would have a problem with, then that's one way for me to make that change. The power of the vote, so to say. I will be definitely doing my research. Now, and then the last thing is, which I loved, was how are we helping the police? Like, I love that angle of it, because it's not, and I talked about this before when I went to the last police cop law enforcement discussion. Man, they are humans as well. We all live in this community together. And I like that question. How are we helping the police? And that's another thing that I try to challenge myself to do, is to step up and help out. Kind of like the scenario with Meg and her brother and the neighbors all coming in saying, hey, no, you got the wrong kid. This is not him. We saw him doing this, this, and this. I can witness that. I can vouch for that, whatnot. You've got the wrong kid. And of course, in that story, they did find the right kid who is the vandal or whatnot. But that's one way we can help the police. One way I'm going to help the police is being, communicating with him, not being a snitch. But if somebody's doing something wrong, I'm going to call you out for it personally, straight up. And if I can't, and the police does ask me about, hey, did you see anything? Yeah, I'm going to say something. And that's on record now. But, and there's probably other ways you can help the police as well. But those are going to be some of my ways. And the other thing that I was thinking about as I was driving from the meeting was, man, this is another cause, another way for, something else that's pulling my heartstring, that's pulling that's pulling from my empathy and my care bucket, so to say. But I don't know if this is something that I would prioritize for myself. Because I strongly feel if you're doing wrong, first off, you just shouldn't be doing wrong. The police is not a problem if you are doing the right things. Now, again, if you're doing the right things in the police, are abusing their power and doing wrong things, racial profiling and all of this other stuff, then yeah, that it should be addressed and it should be a priority for you. But I don't know if this is one of those things that I would prioritize right now for me with so many other things that I'm prioritizing. Because I strongly feel if you're doing wrong, then you should be accountable for your wrongdoings.